All right, the July 10th, 2024 meeting of the San Mateo County Board of Education will come to order. As is our practice, this meeting will be recorded. I warmly welcome our Youth Commission Liaison, Bethany Zhao, joining the board at the dais this evening. Welcome, Bethany. The board provides remote access for members of the public and welcomes community members joining in person and remotely. The board is following the requirements of Assembly Bill 2449, which enables remote participation by board members only under specific circumstances. Would Board Member Girard like to speak at this time?
Yes, I will not be attending the meeting this evening because of an injury. And there are no people in the room over 18 years old.
Thank you, Trustee Girard. Is there a motion to approve Board Member Girard's remote attendance this evening?
So moved.
Second. Thank you. There's a motion to approve Board Members Girard's attendance made by Trustee Torres and a second by Trustee Cannon. Is there any further discussion? May I please have a roll call vote?
Ms. Alvaro,
Aye.
Mr. Cannon,
Aye.
Ms. Girard,
Aye.
Mr. Torres,
Aye.
Ms. Benini.
Aye. The motion passes with a vote of 5-0, and the board has approved Board Member Girard's remote attendance this evening. We will use simultaneous interpretation in Spanish for those attending virtually through the end of public comment. Translation will continue further into the meeting if people are utilizing the channel. Thank you to our interpreters, Ana Cruz and Lucy Navarro, for joining us remotely. For meeting attendees wishing to access the Spanish translation channel on Zoom, click on the interpretation button on the menu bar. We ask all speakers to be mindful of the Spanish interpretation and speak slowly and clearly. I ask board members to speak directly into the microphone and remind speakers wearing masks to remove their masks when speaking in order to be clearly heard by all attendees. Item 1B is approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
There is a motion by Trustee Cannon and a second by Trustee Torres. Is there any further discussion? May I please have a roll call vote?
Ms. Alvaro,
Aye.
Mr. Cannon,
Aye.
Ms. Girard,
Aye.
Mr. Torres,
Aye.
Ms. Benini.
Aye. The motion passes with a vote of 5-0, and the agenda for tonight's meeting has been approved. Item 2 is public comment. Guidelines for public comment are available on the SMCOE website and in board docs, as well as on the table outside the boardroom in both English and Spanish. If there are speakers who require Spanish interpretation, our interpreters, Ms. Cruz and Ms. Navarro, will interpret following each speaker's comments. At this time, members of the public may provide comment for topics not included on the approved agenda. The County Board of Education does not act upon any matter that has not been agendized, except under limited circumstances as permitted by law. It is the policy of the County Board to refer matters raised in this forum to the superintendent for investigation and/or action where appropriate. Superintendent McGee, do we have any comments submitted prior to the meeting?
We do not.
Thank you. Speakers are invited to make live comment and have 3 minutes to speak. The board's executive assistant, Jennifer Perna, will keep the time and advise when speakers have 30 seconds left. Please keep within the time limits. To make a comment over Zoom, members of the public may use the raise hand feature. Instructions for using this feature are provided as an attachment in the board packet. Once the hand is raised, please wait to be acknowledged by Superintendent McGee. Are there any members of the public attending remotely who wish to speak at this time?
I'm not seeing any hands.
Okay, thank you. Members of the public may also provide live comment in person. Superintendent McGee, are there any submitted cards?
I have no cards.
Public comment addressing a specific agenda item will be heard after the board's questions, comments, and discussion of the item. If members of the public wish to speak to a specific agenda item, please use the raised hand feature when the item is announced, or if in person, please submit a card in advance of the item. Item 3A is the July 2024 Employee of the Month, Forrest Tappan, Computer Network Technician, Business Services Division. Will Forrest please join me in the middle of the room? Okay, I think I got it. All right. Hi, Forrest. All right. Each month, the board and the superintendent recognize an employee for providing outstanding service. For the month of July, we recognize you, Forrest Tappan, Computer Network Technician in the Business Services Division. Forrest joined the county office in July 2023 and has consistently demonstrated an unwavering commitment to excellence and innovation, especially in the school programs. Forrest approaches learning with a student lens. He identifies and deploys relevant instructional technology tailored to the specific needs of students. Forrest was instrumental in the success of the Career Technical Education Program held at Hillcrest and Gateway during the past school year. He went above and beyond to support students, and his efforts significantly enhanced students' learning experiences. He expanded their opportunities, equipping them with vital skills for their future endeavors. His focus on discovering and implementing relevant instructional technology that aligns with industry sectors was particularly helpful. Thank you for that. Forrest's efforts to research and implement the latest technological advancements have also helped ensure the county office's educational programs remain in the forefront of innovation. Forrest's collaborative nature and willingness to share his expertise have benefited the school program staff. He actively engages with colleagues, sharing best practices and offering guidance to ensure the school's integrated technology services operate seamlessly. His colleagues also appreciate his positive approach and willingness to assist others. We are proud of our County Office of Education staff and are pleased to recognize you, Forrest, for your outstanding work. Congratulations on being named Employee of the Month for July 2024. Would you like to say a few words?
Board President Benini, members of the board, and Superintendent McGee. It's been an honor to serve the teachers, both and our partners at the SMCOE, and it's a privilege to receive this award. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We have this for you. You guys are full and a little something extra. You're very welcome.
Forrest, that's one way to celebrate your first year anniversary here at the county office. Congratulations.
All right. That's always the best part of the meeting. Okay, next we have, let's see, item 4A, which is the introduction of Dr. Jesus Jimenez, Director, School Programs, Educational Services Division. Welcome.
Good evening, Board President Bonini, board members, and Superintendent McGee. I am honored to introduce myself this evening. My name is Dr. Jesus Jimenez. I am the new Director of School Programs. It is a privilege to join the team at San Mateo County Office of Education to help support and embody the One SMCOE vision values. I'm happy to share and bring my 28 years of experience in education to San Mateo County. Most recently, serving as a Director of Secondary Education with Fremont Unified School District. I also had the privilege to serve as a high school principal, middle school principal, assistant principal, attendance facilitator, dean of students, high school teacher, and soccer coach as well. It's a long time, 28 years. My wife and I who's here tonight, thank you for joining me. We have a blended family with 4 adult children and 2 grandsons. 2 of our kids came to school in the Bay Area, Sonoma State and Cal. And after many years of discussing a move to Northern California, 2 years ago, we decided to leave Southern California and embark on a new journey for us. My wife is also in education and will be serving in this upcoming year as the new director for federal and state programs in Alamorac Union School District. Additionally, I would like to share with you my educational philosophy, which is embedded in my 3 core values and beliefs. First, I believe that all children can learn regardless of their family history or socioeconomic background. I believe they all have the ability to learn. Second, I believe all children can succeed academically with the appropriate support from caring and dedicated adults. And thirdly, I believe academic success includes having high expectations, rigorous instruction, and never giving up on a student. I want to express my personal gratitude to Executive Director Sarah Notch, Associate Superintendent Chris Schaus, and Superintendent Nancy McGee for the opportunity to serve our students, families, staff, and the administrative team for our various school programs, which include Court and Community, the Ann Campbell Center, and K-22 Special Education Services. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Welcome. Item 4B is the introduction of Dr. Maria Ramos, Principal, Court and Community School Programs, Educational Services Division. Welcome.
Good evening, Board President Bonini, members of the board, and Superintendent McGee. My name is Dr. Maria Ramos, and I've been in education since 2007, and I've been everything from a teacher to a coach to an assistant principal, and now as a principal. Throughout my educational journey, I really enjoyed working with alternative education, and I often refer to that as education's best kept secret. I really do enjoy working with that particular population, and I'm very excited as I begin my journey with the county to continue to support students, continue to support staffs. And my biggest motto I live by every time I make a decision when it comes to students is it best for students? And I'm really excited to begin this journey with the county and definitely see this through. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome. Okay, and then we have item 4C, which is the introduction of Laura, and I forgot to ask the pronunciation, so I'm going to try. Laura Codicetti, okay, a coordinator, school programs, Educational Services Division. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, Board President Bonini, members of the board, and Superintendent McGee. My name is Laura Codicetti, and I'm honored to join San Mateo County School of Education as the coordinator for school programs. I am dedicated to supporting the mission and the vision of our county and community school programs by approaching teaching and learning from an equity perspective. I am passionate about making teaching and learning visible, prioritizing the students' welfare, and helping develop trauma-informed schools. Throughout my career, I have dedicated most of my life and commitment to public education and social justice, and I've been an advocate for the most disenfranchised communities. My career in education started many years ago in my native country, Argentina, where I developed a deep understanding of teaching, reading, and writing to the marginalized communities in Buenos Aires. The experience taught me that education is a key to leveling the playing field and gaining freedom. During my years in San Francisco, there were many, 25, I held different roles as a paraprofessional in special education, bilingual teacher. I coached, supervised, and trained other educators to understand that multilingual learners have assets, no deficiencies. I'm one of them, and I'm here. So when I moved here, I did not speak any English, so I feel privileged to speak 2 languages. My time as a principal in the last 7 years have been very humbling, reinforced the complexities of teaching and learning, emphasizing the importance of collaboration, teamwork, trust, and street data. and clear sense of purpose why we are here. So education decisions should always place our students at the center, and it takes a village and a community to raise each and every student in our school programs. So thank you so much, everyone, for this opportunity. Thank you.
Welcome to all the new faces. Lovely to see everyone. All right, item 5 is our consent agenda. The consent agenda is not debatable and requires a unanimous vote for passage. An item may be removed from the consent agenda and placed on the regular order of business for separate discussion and action if any board member, the superintendent, or the public so requests. Is there a motion to approve our consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion from trustee Cannon and a second by trustee Torres. Is there any further discussion? May I please have a roll call vote?
Ms. Alvaro? Aye. Mr. Cannon?
Aye.
Ms. Gerard?
Aye.
Mr. Torres?
Aye.
Ms. Benini?
Aye. The motion passes with a vote of 5-0 and the consent agenda has been approved. Item 6A. For this item, Superintendent McGee will provide an update on the Gateway Design Team process. Superintendent McGee?
Our team is so new. It's the first time I've seen them in real life, only on Zoom. So wanted to shake their hands. Welcome. So tonight is a great opportunity. I feel really excited about this presentation. As you know, we've been really together diving deep on what is the purpose and the best instructional program for the students that we serve in the Gateway Community School. We can go back many, 3 years now, 4 years, as far as how those deep conversations began. The board's been very thoughtful and very engaged. And because of the board's engagement, here we are today to see the outcomes of this 4th year of work that took place as a design process with the facilitation of the National Equity Project. So this year, we started the design series, as I said, facilitated by the National Equity Project in September, I believe. That process started by committing all the partners to the process. So in it, we included both staff from Gateway School as well as from the County Office of Education Services Division staff that serve our schools. We had staff from Sequoia Union High School District, San Mateo Union High School District, San Mateo County Community College District, the Youth Law Center, and then the Stanford Education and Law Project. So it was a pretty robust group of engaged partners. And I am to this moment extremely grateful for all the time and energy that the partners put into the process. As I said, it was a year-long experience that when you're, running schools and running programs in your very large high school districts, to take time out to really focus on the very small population of students that we serve at Gateway speaks to the level of equity commitment that our partner districts hold in their hearts. The first engagement in an in-person part of the process was the Discovery Series. The National Equity Project team convened members from these different stakeholder groups in 8 sessions. The county board subcommittee met with the National Equity Project twice, once with SMCOE staff and once on their own. The San Mateo Union High School District board members, I believe there were 4 board members who joined Superintendent Booker with myself in an hour-long meeting with the National Equity Project to focus on impressions and understandings and articulate where we think we could move the school program around the Gateway Community School. Another discovery session was with our Ed Services team that goes out and supports the teachers and the administrators out lifting up the instructional program. There was a session only for Gateway staff, and then a discovery session for all the partners who participated in last year's series, which we called a learning series. And then finally, the last discovery session was held with community partners. So that would be members of the probation department, the community college, the youth law center, the Stanford group, and there were probably others. I wasn't in that meeting, so I don't have the roster right in front of me, but all the different partners that work around our school setting. After the discovery process concluded, then we convened a design team. And for the design team, we held 8 sessions. They were 2 hours each. So that's 16 hours of work directly in the committed collaboration. The design series started in November and just concluded a few weeks ago on June 24th with the last session. The members of the board subcommittee attended one of the design series sessions in person, actually 2 of them in person. And then what I don't have reflected in the process is that Associate Superintendent Chris Schaus and Executive Director Sarah Notch and myself met with the subcommittee several times just to kind of report sort of on the process and answer questions and provide information. And then finally, while all of this was going on, the Stanford Youth Education and Law program had a unique class this year they have not had in the past. And the class was called a Policy Lab. And it involved students in their law school as well as students in their graduate school of education together. And they made their project around the Gateway Community School. So they gathered all kinds of research. They came out and met with our leadership team. And then they went about their business and just did their research on their own and collaborated over there at Stanford. We weren't really involved in what they did until the very end. And I can say that, you know, Deputy Superintendent Chavez and Associate Superintendent Schaus and I went over to Stanford in late May to meet with the class. It was the last day of their semester. And I was a little bit nervous about what they were going to be presenting because I had no idea where they were going to come from. But as you'll see in the presentation, I was actually really surprised at how aligned they ended up with where the design team ended up. So out of the discovery session, we identified a few key themes from all the feedback that was collected and received. These are the key bullet points from the discovery: that Gateway School has great promise and works well for some students. There was a lot of discussion about the physical campus at Gateway, that it's less than high standard. It's a collection of portable buildings. It sits in the shadow of the juvenile hall and may not be as exciting and welcoming a place for young people as we might want it to be. Another theme out of the discovery sessions were that the ability to meet social, emotional, mental health needs of our students is inadequate. That's not for lack of trying or effort to put programs together. It's more about the level of need that our students come to us with, and the really high bar that is existing for us to make sure that we're meeting every need of the students when they come. The next key element was about the service delivery for our students who are in special education and the English language learner support. Many stakeholders expressed that there could be more robust programming and supports in those areas, as well as the fact that the referral process for students coming into Gateway and then the collaboration around the transitions for students coming in and students going back out to their districts needed more attention. So those were the key themes that we went into the design process holding, that we were trying to keep at the center for the design prototypes. Just a little nod to the National Equity Project. They use in their facilitation what they call a liberatory design mindset. So we did spend several sessions as a design team sort of immersing and learning about what it means to be using a liberatory design mindset. And it is about recognizing oppression that surrounds us and how we live and work every day. And think about different ways we might do things to reduce those barriers or even dismantle completely those barriers that exist. The liberatory design also encourages us to be really self-aware of what we each individually bring to the conversations. What is our story? What are our biases and predilections? And then the process really inspires sort of creative courage. Like, it's okay to step over that line that you think you might not be able to step over and think about something that you might not think is possible, but let's just imagine that maybe it is. So in the end, we did study 4 prototypes through the process, but we landed on officially 3 prototypes. And the reason for that is just, I think, the human capacity in the room. I just don't think we had enough human power to fill up all 4 prototypes. And we knew that if we tried to spread ourselves too thin and take on too much, that we would not give all the energy and attention that each prototype would need. So we did come out with 3. Prototype 1 is around the concept of expanding the partnership with the community college. One thing about the location of Gateway is that it's not only sitting in the shadow of the juvenile hall, but it's also one exit away from the College of San Mateo, which is really one of the most beautiful and well-resourced community college campuses in the state of California. Not only is physically the campus of the college so close, but the relationships that we already have with the college are deeply developed. As you know, we evolved along with the college around Project Change in 2015, and that Project Change has now become the model for collaborations across the state of California between alternative schools, particularly county-operated community schools, and their community college partners. The governor in 2020, I think it was last year, dedicated $25 million to uplift that project across the state of California. And the challenges that our partner county offices and colleges have had is very much in the relationship between the college staff and the community school staff, the county office staff, that those relationships aren't necessarily deeply developed across the state. And that is really one of our magic wands that we have, is that we have those relationships and they are real. So this group, this work group that worked on this prototype, again, we met centered around this question at least 4 or 5 meetings, each time going a little bit deeper and a little bit deeper. And the idea of the prototype is that now in the coming year, we will pilot and test it, try it out, see what works, see what doesn't work, do lots of measurement and tracking to determine if we're going in the right direction. So the idea of this prototype is to expand the students' access to course offerings related to the following areas: career and technical education pathways, dual enrollment, and an increase in Project Change participation. So Project Change is more than just students taking a college class. Project Change is very much like the AVID model, which you may know if you've been around education long enough. I know AVID really well, and I'm a deep devotee of AVID because it started in San Diego, and I was one of the first AVID teachers in the state of California in 1989. And what AVID does is it surrounds the student with college-going mentors, tutoring, family education, college tours and trips. And then the AVID teachers and leaders advocate for those AVID students to get enrolled in AP and International Baccalaureate classes and honors classes, so the rigor of instruction is raised. And we have to encourage those teachers to change the way they teach to make sure that those students are successful. Project Change is exactly that, just at the college level. So Project Change also includes a bevy of college instructors who choose to be part of the Project Change setting. They choose to work with students who have alternative education in their backgrounds and may have had fractured educational experiences. So what the goal of this prototype would be is that students would become California pathway completers that meets their goals for college and career readiness on the California dashboard, gives them real life experience in career and technical education. And it also, this prototype is also about getting the students on the college campus as much as possible in as many contexts as possible. So if we could pair up students with a student group that already exists at the college, and they act as mentors, that would be another experience that our students are having in the college environment that might be positive. And then the final goal for this prototype is that students would have increased access to internships. Not only would we lift up internships through the county office programs, but the community college setting also offers many opportunities and resources for these kinds of activities. The second prototype started as a discussion about transitions into Gateway and returning to their district, students returning to their districts. The work group actually narrowed down the prototype to only focus on students returning to district. And this prototype is around the idea of ensuring student success who are returning to districts by assigning a Gateway staff member to this role, specific role as a liaison with our partner LEAs. And that Gateway staff member would keep eyes on and stay connected to that student and that student's school site team for a number of months, maybe 3 months, I'll just throw out as an example, on a specific timeline using specific benchmarks. This is not something we currently do. We do a really nice warm handoff and make sure that the student is re-enrolled and connected with all the site support in their returning district. But at that point, our staff then concludes their relationship with the student and as far as a professional relationship as an educator. But in this prototype, our Gateway staff would stay engaged and be on the district school site campus, meeting with the counselor, meeting with the student on a timeline with benchmarks. So the prototype would involve developing SMCOE, an SMCOE staffing position to do this work, creating the transition timeline. When do we begin to get ready for the transition for the student to go back to their district? Establishing benchmarks, what kinds of things are we looking for to ensure that the student is being successful? And then also being accounting for any kind of special education or other unique supports that the student might need. In other words, we might not only, our staff person might not only connect with the student's counselor, but perhaps also their resource teacher or their lead of their IEP team to see what kinds of, how they're doing in their special education environment. And then the third prototype is around professional development and adult learning for staff. We want to positively impact both the student and the adult mindset in this setting. We heard from Dr. Jimenez tonight about a deeply seated belief in the fact that every student can learn, advance, and grow regardless of their past history, what mistakes they've made, or what skills they might be lacking. We have to believe in this setting that those students have all kinds of potential, and it's just a matter of putting all the pieces together and helping that student move forward. So that's what this professional learning and collaboration is about, both for impacting students who we heard from time and time again in this process that they don't feel successful. They feel like they are at the end of the line. They've run out of options and opportunities. And that's not how we want them to come to school every day, is to feel like the game is over, but that they're just getting started in the game and there's all kinds of opportunities that lie ahead. So this professional learning and collaboration would be focused on a particular strategy of using observation and engagement tools for the staff to implement their plan, do, study, act cycles, which you've heard about before in the reports about the school programs. This is the inquiry cycle. To begin, we would co-design this observation tool with staff. Then staff, we want to get them out into other programs, observing other instructional models and other class settings, just for learning purposes. And then engage in empathy interviews with the staff to address what challenges they might be facing in their instruction, so that we can target what kinds of supports they need to be successful in this model. So that's the 3 prototypes. And then the last part of the design process was the report from the Stanford Education and Law Policy Lab class. They had program recommendations. It might be hard to see there, but I think you have the PowerPoint in your email to look at more carefully. Their recommendations started with strengthening transitions in and out of the school, ensuring quality instruction using individualized academic planning and strong, robust instructional strategies, and then making sure we address wraparound services for addressing the family needs in counseling and the students' needs for mental health support. What I want to point out about these three recommendations is that the strengthening the transitions in and out is really what our prototype 2 is. So both the Stanford class and our design team landed in the same place on the transitions as a priority. For the academic recommendation, if you go back and look at the 24-25 LCAP, this is almost a verbatim about the goals of our court and community LCAP. Increasing supports for students in special education and students who are English language learners. You heard about the individual academic planning, that each student would have an individual academic plan. I don't know if that's the right term, but it's close enough. And that the students would continue to participate in Project Change. And then finally, the wraparound services recommendation from Stanford was actually our prototype 4, the prototype 4 that we decided not to focus on and move forward because we didn't have enough capacity. But the other reason there is that staff is already addressing the social emotional learning, the trauma-informed instruction. This last year, the supports and programming around Project Change got a lot more structured and improved coming out of after COVID. And many of our Gateway Community School staff attended the Launch Institute both last year and this year, which is all about restorative practices, trauma-informed instruction, and being culturally responsive with students. Having student-centered approach so that when students come on campus, they feel that they have allies and advocates. And finally, the grand finale of the Stanford proposal was a big idea that lends itself to the liberatory design mindset. And it is the idea that we develop an SMCOE middle college design. We already have the College of San Mateo nearby. We already have the relationships with the leadership of the college. The idea of a middle college design would be that we would house our school at the community college in 2 or 3 classrooms. And just to clarify that in past years, we've used the community college and classroom spaces there to run our independent study program. And we've also had special education classes on the college campus. So that's actually not such a new idea. We've been there and done that before. That an SMCOE middle college design would follow the Project Change model, where students attend county-operated programs as a homeroom, so they get their high school education there in the classrooms, but they can also go out to their college class and then come back into the homeroom class before or after. If they were in a middle college program that we were operating, they would have access to all the resources that the College of San Mateo offers its students, which includes student activities, student groups, tutoring, and the language centers that exist on the campus. The special education services would be provided in our own county classrooms, which would be on the campus of the college, with additional accommodations in all their college classes. So these are just super high level bullets, and it's a big idea. It's an idea that actually came up in the design process as part of our discussion, that what if this discussion about students returning to their school districts can often be a really nice moment for them where they have overcome and learned new skills, and now they're going to go back to their home district and be successful. But there's also this idea that what if the complete trajectory of their expectations changes for them, and they like project change and they like the college setting, and maybe they want to continue in a college design, much like both of our partner LEAs, Sequoia and San Mateo, have middle college programs on the college campuses. What we know is that those middle college programs are more, are not especially necessarily friendly to the skills and the mindsets of our alternative setting students. And that you just blending them into a middle college program would probably not be a very good idea. But if we created our own middle college program that was designed around the needs of our students, then that could be really exciting, and also, I believe, a first in the state. So moving ahead, what comes next? You just met the new leadership team for the our school programs, and I'm personally very excited about each individual leader that is coming aboard, as well as their power as a team to work together. So our first next step would be to incorporate that new school leadership team into the design team process. We need to catch them up, help them acclimate, meet the partners in our districts and in our nonprofits and supporting organizations. We will be engaging the National Equity Project team to lead us a second year through the next iteration of this process, which will be the facilitation or implementation of the prototypes themselves. So it will look a lot different than it did this year. The National Equity Team Project will meet with the 3 prototype groups and help them monitor and navigate challenges as we implement the various prototypes. And then thirdly, obviously, we have to initiate the prototypes, which in many ways won't be hard to get started, because in some ways we're already doing all 3 of them in some way, but maybe not in as intentional and aligned a way as we've developed through the design process. And then finally, we do want to build on Stanford's program proposal for an SMCOE middle college model. It doesn't mean that that's what we will do. It only means that we will begin to explore what that would require, whether it's feasible or not, whether we think our students would take to it. And there's lots of little pilot innovations we can do through our prototype number 1, which is the community college partnership, to test that idea out. So this year will be about testing those waters, doing more research, gathering more information, putting some draft proposals together, and discussing how we might move forward in that way. And so that's sort of a conclusion of where we are today in the process. As we know, our work is about continuous learning, and we will never be finished with this improvement work. But I feel very, very solidly confident about where we are with our court and community school program and the kinds of changes that our students are starting to experience, because so many adults are circling up around them and caring about what their education looks like. We do have one of our partners in the room that participated in the process. That's Don Scatena. So I want to thank Don for all the time and expertise he offered as a member of the San Mateo Union High School District team. And now I'll just stop and be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you for the presentation. Are there any comments or questions from the board? Mr. Cannon.
So Superintendent McGee, are we at a point where you can tell us anything about additional resources that are needed or additional personnel? I know you mentioned one job, I thought.
Yeah, I don't want to speak out of turn because my check-in with Associate Superintendent Schaus is on Friday. And we haven't touched base in a few weeks, but we do have a staffing position that was already in place that can be easily repurposed or restructured to perform this transition work. We don't have that many students who actually come into Gateway, and we don't have that many students who go back to district. So it's not like we're talking about trying to track 20 students. We're really 1 or 2 or 3 at a time. And we believe we can fold that into existing staffing. It's just about restructuring the jobs themselves. And as far as additional dollars, I don't feel like anything that we've got up there is really going to cost us any more money right this minute. But we do have some additional dollars in the budget from the statewide equity multiplier. Yeah. The equity multiplier formula, which is part of the governor's budget for 2024. And our program qualified for some of those dollars, which are intended to serve the most vulnerable and underserved students. So that naturally applies to all of our students
Thank
at
you.
Gateway.
Are there any other questions? Trustee Alvaro.
Thank you. Thank you for this report. So obviously we're not talking about the students at Hillcrest because that's.
Well, I do want to say that while we are focused on Gateway School because we have complete control over all elements of the school, many of the tenets and the strategies and the mindsets that we're talking about absolutely transfer to Hillcrest.
Okay.
So Hillcrest is also going to benefit, is already benefiting from this work.
So how many students are we talking about at Gateway? I don't mean right this minute, but as this design process moves forward. And
I mean, I think we don't have very many students at
No.
Gateway. And that was the original challenge. So we have maybe 12 per semester, maybe 15, but I don't think so. As we move forward towards this idea of like an alternative middle college, it could be attractive for students from other environments. And the key to that is there's a community college in the South, in the Central, and in the North County.
yeah,
So ultimately, if we were successful, we could hold programming at every college campus because the community college district originally invested Project Change at College of San Mateo, but they now have new money from the state to expand. So they're expanding to Kenyatta and ultimately to Skyline. So all 3 campuses will be amenable to this kind of thing.
so the idea then is to keep students longer than we normally do.
Only if they elect to. What we'd like to see, I mean, ultimately the families decide what they want to do.
Mhm.
And families may not be interested in this kind of thing. But if we can demonstrate to students that, first of all, we have students in Hillcrest who are college students, and some of them are graduating with their AA degrees. And their whole self-identity has shifted because they're not just a student who's incarcerated or a youth who's incarcerated. They're actually a college student. They have a different identity. So we do believe that when students find that they can be in a place that's both comfortable for them and they can be successful and it offers opportunities, that some of them will really want to stay.
And I agree with that, we certainly saw that in some of the programs that were run, like at the boys camp at Glenwood, that students were electing to continue there. So right now, the majority of the cost of the Gateway program is borne by the referring district.
Yes,
The two districts that refer most
primarily. Yeah.
have their own middle college programs. So is there going to be a willingness, and I know you've been working hard with these, with our partners. So is there going to be a willingness for them to fund a middle college program through the community
So,
school?
Yeah, I think the difference is that the middle college programs that the districts have right now, they're traditional programs. They're for kids who are accelerating, kids who want to get finished sooner so they can get to college sooner. Not all of them are in that space, but I think it's more of an advanced setting. So having, whether it's us running an alternative middle college or the model is something that our districts can adopt and develop on their own for an alternative setting, is an answer for them also. Is an opportunity and an innovation for them. So we don't need to go do it if the districts want to do it. But we think we can pilot it and help develop a model that either we could operate broadly across the county or that our districts could replicate. Either way, we are leveraging the resources of this county to benefit the students who are most underserved.
Yeah, and that's great. We should be doing that. And I appreciate that. But I just want to, I guess I want to feel comfortable that since the districts have been bearing the brunt of the cost of this program for quite some time, because there's nothing else we could do about it, that those districts are, I know they've been part of the process, and that's great, that they're on board with this idea of this change, that they would still be bearing a great deal of the cost of.
So my sense of how the partners came out of the design process is kind of excited. Sort of not everybody believed that we could do something really different. Like how different could we make it? But this idea of an alternative middle college is different, and it's possible. And so I think that there's a real engagement there and excitement on the part of our districts. We had the district, like I said, they showed up, they kept showing up, and they had a lot to do on their own for their own kids.
Oh, yeah.
So I do believe we have everybody engaged.
Because I'm thinking, and again, hopefully there'll be more students coming for their own reasons, not because they've been expelled, but for their own reasons that they want to come. Because I'm thinking if we have, 15 kids at a time at Gateway, and we start spreading out to 3 college campuses, that's 5 at each college campus.
I mean, I'm
It's
really talking like,
way down.
in 5 years from now, if we were at 2 colleges, that would be amazing.
So
right? And
initially,
it just takes time to build,
yeah, okay.
but you have to start with a vision.
Yeah.
And we may learn things along the way that send us in a different direction. But the point is that we're aspiring to better conditions.
And that's commendable. I'm excited that we're this change in thinking about the way to serve them. So, okay, thank you.
I think Beverly had her hand up. Trustee Gerard, do you have a question?
Yes, and it was actually something I brought up when I attended the design meeting, because I think all of the emphasis on the college is wonderful, and it certainly does build up self-confidence in the students. My concern is how are we also going to work in the students that are not interested in going to college, and there are some that aren't, but there are things available for continuing education, like trade schools and internships, apprenticeships. And how are we working that into this program so that students know that those things are available to them as well?
Yes, thank you, Trustee Gerard. And this was an important point you brought up at the last design meeting, and I really appreciated you articulating it. The fact of the matter is that all of those things will be available to students through this program. So through our career and technical education pathways, if they're going to develop and complete a pathway, that will involve potentially internships and apprenticeships that our staff can support them with. So our team is still there. We're not just handing them over to the college. We're very much still involved. But at the same time, the college isn't just for students who are 4-year bound, but also for students. There's all kinds of certificates and internship programs already set up at the community college that students can complete. For instance, like a veterinary tech. They can go to those classes, they can get certified as a vet tech, and they can leave school ready to be employed in that area. That's just one area. But we also collaborate with the TIP program, which is the trades instructional program run by our local unions. And they engage with students at Hillcrest. In those programs, oftentimes students have to be 18 or older. So we're trying to get our students ready for those to be successful in those programs. But we're not taking anything off the table for students. They will have every opportunity to pursue whichever pathway they want to go. If they want to go back to their high school district, that will be afforded to them. We'll make that transition as positive as possible. If they want to be up at the college, then we would work with them to understand what are their goals. Do they want to go on to a 4-year college, or do they want to go into a trade program? So either way, we can prepare them for any of those options. Because we know that this is about individual needs. It's not about a cookie cutter approach. We certainly know that in serving students in court and community, the various needs and supports that each individual student brings with them is part of why we have to be so individualized in our approaches with students at Gateway.
Thank you.
Trustee Torres.
Thank you for the presentation and report out. Some of my questions were already answered, but I have a logistical one about the periodic report outs. If we know how often, who, and will it be to the entire board or to our subcommittee and then the board, or how we envision that?
Yeah, that's a
going?
great question. And it's not shaped yet because we haven't convened yet to look ahead and plan for next year, but we will be doing that in the next few weeks. I envision that we will do both. We will have periodic reports to the board. We can already go ahead and plan those on particular board dates, looking ahead for the whole year so that the board knows they're going to get a particular update at a certain time. And then we will also continue to meet with the Gateway Subcommittee to keep them informed, answer questions, take feedback in that way. I don't know what next year's going to look like explicitly because we haven't yet shaped it out. It'll be a little bit more individualized. It won't be so much large group all at once. And I just know that the National Equity Project is going to help us kind of organize it. So once we get together with them, I will let you all know what that's going to look like.
And then a suggestion, maybe if we incorporate it into our board governance calendar, so it's more
Sure.
solidified, so we can see as we go.
Yeah,
Thank you.
no problem.
All right. Well, I have a couple of comments, I think, unless anyone else has any other comments from the board before I make mine. So I appreciate the focus on high expectations. And I believe that everybody who currently works with our students has those expectations. So, you know, check, right? I am, you know, I'm curious about this idea about a different type of middle college or whatever this discussion is or what was raised. I have some of the same concerns as Trustee Alvaro in terms of duplication, what that looks like if that works for all students. So I'll just kind of leave that. But I'm really interested in this moment and as this work concludes from this year and we're looking to, you know, look at the prototypes, what does that really mean in a practical way for the students who will be in our rooms in August? What is it? You talked about measuring and tracking and putting the prototypes in place, but like, what does that look like for teachers? I'm looking specifically at prototype 2 and 3. 3 sounds to me like it's something around professional development and giving room for growth, and I can understand that's always a need. But 2 is perplexing me with the conversation around all the rest. So 2 is where we're talking about transitions. And you stated, well, I believe personally believe the transitions from the districts to to Gateway should be bolstered. You wanted in the prototype to focus on the back end. Great. So to Susan or to Trustee Alvaro's question, what is the goal with our students? Because my understanding, and I've, you know, been sitting here for a little while now, is that we are the place where the students can come to be in a safe, supportive space when they can't really exist in their own districts. They need a separate place. They need that wraparound sort of model. So when we're talking about that and we're meeting their needs, we're doing credit recovery, we're putting these pieces, what I envision, what I've been sort of operating on for the last few years, is that our goal is to reintegrate them into their comprehensive high schools, that we want them to be prepared emotionally, socially, academically, so they can seamlessly re-embed themselves there. I like the idea of having, you know, more supports when they get there. I know that seems like it's a need, and even a need that they get, you know, enrolled quickly and all of that. But what I don't understand, it feels like we're operating on 2 different paths, and I'm not sure, not that there aren't enough students, like I don't want more students to be expelled and reach us if they don't need to. But I feel like we need to focus on that. And I'm sort of like I said, I'm curious about this potential collaboration and work with the community colleges. But it seems like it's like an outlier from where my focus is. And so my questions, going back to my first comment, like practically, what does this look like in the fall of this year as you're trying to launch prototypes and whatever? And really, what is the goal for these students?
So to clarify about the transitions in and out, in our work group, we, as a prototype, we worked on the transitions out because it involves the partners. And we have to engage really strongly with the districts because we want to go out to their schools. And the partners were there at the table and we could work through that. Part of our work group was Gateway staff. And we had a long conversation about the ways in which they're already strengthening the transitions in. Like staff is already working on that. They're redoing an orientation process. They've redone the intake form. So those things are already happening. There's lots, the staff at Gateway is focused on the students who are right there in front of them, serve them every day, provide them with the education and the environment that we want them to have, while we are also focused on where we're going, where we want to move to. So they're not exclusive of each other. They do intersect nicely. If the LCAP is very, very strong for what the goals for the program are for the next 3 years. The strategic plan that they did the year before is also very strong and very explicit. And when, you know, staff comes to report, they're constantly anchoring back to the strategic plan or the LCAP. We are going to have a WASC visit this year. So that's something we're going to need to spend time focused on and getting ready for. But all of this work that we've been doing means that we're not going to have to scurry to get ready for a WASC visit. We're going to be able just to pull together all of the documents and resources that we're already doing, put it together in our report, and then walk around when the WASC committee comes and show them what we're doing, because we're not making it up. It's happening every day for students. So I think we can do both. Serve students right now today. Staff was at launch. They're getting ready to accept and welcome the students that are coming in the fall. We've got a new leadership team that's going to need to get to know the teachers and the kind of the flow of the place and get to know things before they're digging in on anything. We said step number 1 is to help them integrate. So we're very focused on the students that are right there in front of us. And I don't know how to answer the question about Gateway being serving a lot of students or not a lot of students.
That wasn't my question.
Okay.
The question was, is the focus on meeting their needs as high schoolers and getting them to be reintegrated into their campuses and to, you know, hold them up into that space that is in my view, the best space for them, right? To be able to, you know, get back to their campuses, right? I mean, the districts are paying to have them in this space. And I assume with the expectation that, you know, hopefully it would be a good outcome if they got back to the campuses. And then my question was, is that the goal? Or is it the goal that we keep them and get them into middle college?
No, we want whatever is the best for each individual student is the goal. And if it's best for that student to go back to their district, then that's what we want to happen. Some students go back to their districts and don't succeed. And we heard about that from our district partners. So if we can offer other opportunities, like you don't only have one choice. So students get to decide. I do, you know, want to remind the board that students are already engaging in Project Change, and the students who are running, or not the students, the leaders who are running Project Change came from our programs. They went through Project Change. They graduated, they went on to college, they graduated. Now they're coming back in professional roles as real lived experience models and mentors. So it's really a rich environment, honestly, because students will be welcomed back to their districts and hopefully have the skills to be successful. But if a student says, hey, I kind of want to be like that guy, then I can go do that. So we want to give kids as many opportunities as possible. And that's what this is all about. It's expanding.
Okay, thank you. I look forward to the measurements and the data and the tracking. I do just want to make one final comment that having participated in a lot of the sessions in the initial data gathering, it was robust. We heard a lot, right? But we don't, and this is reflected in our ongoing comments as a board. We don't have a lot of what would be on the quantitative data side, right? We're not getting it because we can't get it yet because there aren't enough students, so it's protected and all. And I didn't see that as a part of this process. There's a lot of qualitative data,
Yeah,
a lot.
I think it was the
But
local.
they need to interact so that they need to inform each other,
Yes.
right?
of
And
course.
so I'm looking forward to seeing more of that as the year unfolds. I think that will be really helpful to seeing how we can progress in a good way for the students. I'm really looking forward to that.
Well, quantitative data is in the local indicators report. There's a lot of data in there. And all we need to do is capture it in a way that helps connects to the prototypes that we're doing. And that's what National Equity Project is going to help us with, as well as our Center for Learning Analytics. They're actually going to be involved in building our data programs as well. So we have lots of resources to do these things.
Okay, thank you. Are there any more comments from the board before I move to public comment? Are there any I didn't see. Are there any comments from the public on this topic? I don't know if there are any online. Can you see hands?
From here, I can't see any hands up.
Okay.
There's no yellows.
All right. Thank you very much for the presentation. There is no action to take on this item. Item 6B is superintendent comments. Superintendent McGee, do you have any comments to share?
I do, and I will be very quick with them. Again, a warm welcome to our new school programs leadership team. Super excited about you being here and what we can do together, and also to helping you get to know all your great partners in our districts, really good people. So I think you have at your places the 23-24 annual report for the county office. We put it out as a digital document, but thought that you might, want to have a paper copy. We can get you more if you'd like. It's something you can take with you when you go to meetings or, you're out in the community and you want to, kind of reference data or whatever. But what I really want to say is just hats off to Executive Director Love and her staff of Anton and Sarah Hopkins for their creativity and professionalism in putting the document together. They also, get all across the county and all across the county office to pull these stories together. So it's vibrant with stories and data and advocacy, and it's really a true testament to the power and impact of public education. So I'm really proud of it, and I want to thank you, Patricia, for shepherding that process, and thanking the Center for Learning Analytics, who helps with all the data. Also being released this week is our annual update to the Big Five school safety materials. One unique thing about the Big Five as a safety protocol is that we refresh and update it every single year. So all the updated documents are now available on our website, and We're working on getting them distributed to our schools, districts, and county leaders this week. Want to call out Mason Hendricks for his capable leadership. In the effort this year, he made sure that we added new materials at the request of our school districts. We had many districts who had to navigate through violent threats to their school campuses and how disruptive that is to the learning environment. So we have a new guidance document called Violent Threat to Schools Response. And then we also have our own now Coalition for Safe Schools and Communities guidance on student release. So if students ever have to be released all the way home to families, we've only just referenced other documents that are out there and that are very good, but we actually created our own this year. So those are 2 brand new documents that are supporting the Big Five. Additionally, the team is now working on preparing all the materials of the Big Five for the Monterey County Office of Education. Monterey adopted the Big Five for their county, so all of their schools and districts use our protocols, and we produce them for them. We print their posters and update all their documents and replace San Mateo County with Monterey County. And then this year, because we've had so much interest from other counties in this work, we took the additional step of trademarking the Big Five. So the county office now owns the materials, and actually they've all been created here in San Mateo County out of this office with cross-sector working groups, and they reflect the best thinking and strategy of many agency and school leaders. I spoke with the Office of Emergency Services at the California Department of Education, and he was suggesting that we might go more broadly with the Big Five, and I kind of deferred because it can get really messy when you have to really adopt your own protocols in order to make them yours and make them make sense. But he said he's seen many, many emergency plans, and he's never seen anything as good as the Big Five. So it is getting a lot of looking and talking about across the state. It's not something we're pushing, but it is a reflection on the quality of our leadership and our staff here. And also the county's commitment to collaboration, because the reason why the Big Five materials are so strong is that we have a steering committee of cross-agency leaders that meets monthly to talk about, address, and keep fresh all of our materials. So take a look if you have the time, take a look at our website and the new materials. And if you have any questions, let me know. We have a slew of birthdays. I'm not going to forget them for August. We have 2 birthdays on August 2nd. That's Patricia Love and Dr. Mary Young. So Patricia and Mary, wishing you really many returns. And then our trustee who's online is having a birthday on August 10th. So Bev Gerard, happy birthday to you on August 10th. We don't meet again till August 21st, so you will have already turned the clock on that one. And that concludes my comments.
All right, for item 7A, the board will move to closed session to hear interdistrict attendance appeal 24-6, IAA-24-6. Filed on behalf of the student currently residing in the South San Francisco Unified School District, but requesting to attend school in the San Mateo Union High School District. Before we begin, are there any comments from the public? Okay. Upon conclusion of the interdistrict attendance appeal, the board will return to open session to report out on any actions taken in closed session.
I have a question. Okay. So I guess I go out of this.
it in the minutes. Jennifer's on it. You're on the minutes. Beverly has left the room at 9:30 PM. The Zoom room. Oh, well, good thing I had that coffee. Are we on? Yeah. Okay. Good. All right. Let's see. For item 8A, the board will report on action taken in closed session. For IAA 24-6, the appeal was withdrawn and no action was taken. For item 9A, when an ad hoc subcommittee meets or representative attends a meeting related to a given assignment, board members may choose to bring a report to the board at this time. Would any board members like to report out on any subcommittee or liaison? Okay, seeing none, there is no action to take on this item. And for item 9B, board members will comment. Trustee Alvaro, would you like to lead us off?
No, I don't have any comments this evening. Thank you.
Okay. Trustee Cannon?
Just to comment that it was a pleasure meeting our new staff members tonight and looking forward to the work of that team and improvements like we always do in all our work with our various student groups.
Thank you. Trustee Torres?
I'll be brief. I was able to attend the CALSA Summer Institute, continued to learn about AI and supporting our EL students. And then we had folks from our San Mateo Foster City School present on how they're using AI with their communications team. So it was great and they did a phenomenal job. Thank you.
Thank you. And just briefly, I just wanted to share, and I can share this with Superintendent McGee as well, and she can share it out with the board, but I just learned today, and maybe others have heard about it, that it was a press release was issued by the State Council on Developmental Disabilities. There's been a lot of work at some of the colleges like Davis, UC Davis, with their SEED scholars, making an inclusive environment for students with intellectual disabilities. And so the lead of the press release is the Governor Newsom approved funding for the California Center for Inclusive College in the County Office of Education. I think it's Sacramento County. I think the center will support inclusive college programs and help students with intellectual and developmental disabilities transition from high school to college. So this is exciting. It's tied to the work I was doing for a time with the Commission on Disabilities and the transition work. So I was super excited to see this and I wanted to share it. So that was my only share. Item 10 is our adjournment. The next regular meeting will take place on Wednesday, August 21st, 2024 at 7 p.m. and this meeting is adjourned.